For the majority of people, rows and pull-ups are not going to be enough to develop really good biceps. Hey everybody, I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And I represent a perfect example of this because I have said in the past many years ago, particularly in phases where I said, I don't want to do any curls, or I'm going to do curls. Most of the time I did curls as an afterthought. I never really had days that were heavily focused on arms, such as what I do now. For a little while I had an arm-specific day, and what I do now, of course, I do pull-ups and chin-ups first, and then I do curls, and I push curls really hard, but I'm starting with exercises that at least use them to some extent. So I'm not doing chest work, I'm not doing shoulder work or any of that stuff before doing biceps. I'm only doing some pulling, and then I go into curls, and I treat them like really serious exercises, taking them to failure, focusing on form, which you guys will see a couple of them that I do in this video. And in doing that, I feel like my arms have come up and my biceps have become more balanced. Now, it doesn't mean that my triceps aren't still lagging a little bit, but at least my biceps have become a little more proportionate, as I close in on 50 years old after years of strength training. And I want to be clear. I used to say, well, look, I've known guys who do very, very few curls. If they do on occasion, like I knew a guy, I mentioned when I was in the UK, right? Over a decade ago when I was making content, I met a guy at a gym I chatted with. He was a bit older than me then. Guy had big arms, big guy all the way around. Wasn't particularly lean, but he was jacked, had really big arms. And he kind of said, I don't really do arm work. It's like occasionally, maybe once a month, I come in, put my back up against the Smith machine here and grab a bar and do some strict curls, right? You grab an easy curl bar and do strict curls, about once a month. And for the most part, he's like, I just focus on rows and lat pull downs and pressing. And, and I use that as an example. And we've all seen examples of that guy, people out there who develop really good arms while doing just big compound movements. Okay, they do exist. And we've seen some guys, particularly really lean guys who manage to get lean, the Lean Gains guy, right? Martin Burkham. He used to say, he's like, look, I don't really do bicep work. I just got really, really strong at weighted chins. And he was really lean. But I think what people have to keep in mind, Martin didn't have massive biceps. He looked good because he was so lean and just decently proportionally developed, right? And probably overall good genetics. So people need a context for that. But Martin didn't have really big arms. Okay, you're not looking at him thinking, man, that guy's got some 19-inch guns or anything. But he was so lean, the fact that he had decent biceps made them look great, right? Because he was just shredded. So understand that difference, okay? There are guys who just genetically are going to build big arms, or there are guys who they just look good overall, so you don't notice that they don't have great arms because it doesn't matter, because the total package they're bringing is pretty balanced. So you have to look at it in that context. The other thing that people used to point out, I saw them point out, well, look at gymnasts. How many gymnasts, they don't do curls, and a lot of them have great biceps. Look at all these male gymnasts. They spend all their time on rings and doing all these pull-ups and muscle-ups and swinging, and look at their arms. But I want people to put that in perspective. That's not a good reply either, right? Because not every gymnast does. They're talking about the world-class gymnast. Well, when you think of a world-class gymnast, how much training are they doing? They're training for hours every day. They're getting arm work on that stuff every single day. That is not an efficient way to build arms, first of all. For everyone else, do you really want to do 2 hours of gymnastics work 5-6 days a week or more, or 4 hours of it, just trying to get what you could have done with some curls? Do you guys see the problem there, number one? Number two, obviously not all of them develop it. There's still a genetic component. But if they're Olympic level gymnasts, they're obviously very genetically gifted towards certain muscle fiber distributions and things, okay? They're above average. They're not the average Joe. They're going to be an athletically gifted person, very possibly with a higher distribution of faster twitch muscle fibers, which we know have the most long-term growth potential, okay? Their maximum size potential is going to be higher. Number three, they're obviously probably on stuff if they're an Olympic athlete. Okay? Drug testing doesn't work that well. As Victor Conte said, it's an IQ test. That's all it is. So in light of all of that, you have to look at that and go, is that really an efficient way? Like you need to pick good genetics and then spend 4 hours a day on the gymnast rings and you'll have just as good a biceps as them. But there are bodybuilders with better biceps who just do curls. You guys kind of see where I'm going with that? And in my case, as once I started doing more and more curls and really, really focusing on doing them correctly, my arms have been coming up. Keep in mind, I still don't have amazing arms, but they've improved late in life after years and years and years and years and years of training and coaching and everything else. They've improved. Okay? They have improved, and they're going to continue to improve. I don't think that's going to stop because now I'm kind of doing all the catch up with all that, putting a focus on it. And that's very much the point. Use me as an example. Instead of using all these gifted individuals, use me as an example. I don't have genetic gifts in the arms. I'm not blessed there. I don't have the best insertions. I have long arms. It's harder to make them look stacked. Okay? So if a lot of you out there who are worried about arm development, you're probably more like me in that you don't have the best gifts in the world to have great arms. You're not going to have Arnold's arm genetics, or else you wouldn't be looking for info like this. You're probably the average Joe in terms of arm genetics and arm potential. What does that mean? It means you're going to actually have to work hard. And what I would say to you, strict curls, stop doing cheat curls, stop trying to just swing the most weight possible. If you are like me and you do not have the best arm genetics and you need to make up for that, you need to train harder and smarter. That means we need to come in and actually do curls, put a serious focus on them, treat them like serious exercises. Notice I take a lot of these sets to failure. Watch when I'm doing this stuff. I grind through without breaking form. Grind through with good form all the way to failure. Lower the last rep with as much control as you can, even though you know you can't do another one. Try to get as much as you can out of that very last rep. Treat them like a serious exercise, but don't overtrain your arms. All right, don't come in and try to do 20 sets of curls and think that's going to fix it. 6 to 8 sets, maybe 10 sets a week of direct bicep work. Push it really hard. Use strict form. Try to get full range of motion and just get progressively stronger at it. And that means you still may be using kind of light weights because biceps are a small muscle. And if you're not gifted, they're going to be a small muscle. So they're not going to move a lot of weight. So quit cheating. Quit unloading the biceps with different things you're doing and just focus on really moving them through a full range of motion under control and just get slowly, progressively stronger at your curls after doing all your pull-ups and chin-ups. And I promise you, your arms will start growing.